Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 18 of the Halftime Sports Talk Show. I'm your host, Reese Kinder, and today we've got a big one lined up for y'all. The preseason top 25 is officially out, and the Heisman race, the season hasn't started yet, but we got those Heisman contenders already, and the odds are coming up soon. And also, we're going to be diving into the biggest unknowns of this season. And oh, don't worry, we got some early picks for you and who's taking home those conference championship trophies. And joining me today is a good friend of mine from Atlas Sports, Chandler. Chandler, man, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing great. Ready to talk some college sports.
Awesome.
But first, we're gonna get into the top 25. I obviously saw your page, Chandler. On you said Texas kind of stood out to you the most about the number one spot, and I do kind of agree with you there. Texas, coming into the season, they do have a lot of depth. They have a lot of great players on that Texas team. But what really stands out to Texas to you?
Yeah, so the big thing I just didn't love was how like the coaches poll and the AP poll, and then it felt like the narrative came around that Texas was the number one team in the country, no question.
Yeah,
I personally think that there's nine teams that can win the national championship this year, and that is the top nine in the AP poll, all the way from Texas down to LSU. I think any team in the middle there has a chance to go on a national championship run. So I'm okay with any of those teams honestly sitting at number one, but having Texas at number one in everybody's polls, they're replacing so much on the O line, they're replacing so much on the defensive line. At times, their cornerback play was a little iffy. They turned around by the end of the season; they were pretty elite. But at the start of the season, they're a little iffy. They're breaking in a new quarterback in Arch Manning. They
yeah.
also have new wide receivers, and then CJ Baxter, their running backs, coming back from injury. But everyone's high on Wisner from last year, who was a 1,000-yard rusher, but he was a 1,000-yard rusher if you count the regular season, conference championship game, and three games in the
Yeah,
postseason,
three
something like
games in the
that.
postseason.
So that he had 450 yards about in his first 10 games of the season. So claiming he's 1,000-yard rusher because of four extra games and two pop-off games at the end of the regular season is something I just can't get behind to like say he's going to be like one of the best running backs in college football. So I'm okay with Texas being number one, but like personally for me, I have them four. But
Yeah.
I'm okay with them one, but I just don't like how everyone's just coining them now as just the best team, like no question.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is too, we saw Arch Manning last year kind of struggle in SEC play. That Georgia game last year had to come in for Quinn Ewers. And Manning did not look that good against Georgia. He honestly played it wasn't a good game that he played against Georgia. And I like you said, I mean, Texas has to replace a lot of O linemen. A lot of them went to the draft, and then also Quinn Ewers is gone now. And what is Arch Manning going to do? Arch Manning obviously is a Heisman favorite, but that's just because of the name. We haven't actually seen him play good against a top caliber team yet. But if we do, I mean, this Texas team could be dangerous. But like you said, I mean, I like Texas in the top four, but number one's kind of like a stretch. I think it's just honestly, the past few years, Texas has put that name out there that they're good. And I think that the AP poll and the coaches poll have kind of tend to agree with that. But I really don't like the AP poll for that reason because you have a lot of
Yeah.
media writers that tend to like, not watch the games and they just base it off of the score.
And like I'm going to do a series this year that I kind of started last year, but I'm
Yeah.
doing it's called the like AP Clown Voter of the Week because you can go and see what every AP voter voted for, like what teams and what rank. And like one of the guys this year for preseason rankings had UNLV as the 12th best team in the country, which is just absurd. No
Whoa,
matter what you think about
that's
them.
yeah, I mean, I even looked at UNLV's schedule the other day because I was curious, like the week zero matchups, I was looking through them, and UNLV does not play the toughest team they play is Boise State at Boise State this year.
Yeah. But like I don't know, having them in the top 12, like over teams like let's say like Oklahoma, Kansas State,
Yeah.
A&M, Indiana, like they just don't compete with the talent of the Big Ten and the SEC. So something like that, it shows that the AP voters don't fully grasp what college football is, at least
Yeah.
compared to like some people like us.
Yeah.
But it's whatever.
Yeah, and you said those top nine like could possibly win a national championship. I agree with you. I honestly see these top nine teams. You got Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, Notre Dame, Oregon, Alabama, and LSU. All of those teams are contenders, and by the end of the year, they will either have 10 wins or more, in my opinion. And honestly, I tend to agree with you about that. Just with in general, all these teams. But they're gonna play each other during the year, so it's gonna be it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens.
And I think like one of the cool things is that I think the top nine, I think they can win the national championship because of how like every team has somewhat of a big flaw. Like we can
Yeah,
go down. We just talked about Texas, Penn State. Like they're getting three pretty high level wide receiver transfers, but will those guys actually mesh with Drew Aller? Because Drew Aller has never passed to a wide receiver over like 600 yards. So
yeah,
that's a big question. Ohio State, they came off a national championship, but they're replacing so much talent.
yeah,
Clemson, usually Dabo Sweeney, we have questions on him. Georgia, I personally don't like their like O line, and I think their wide receiver and running back rooms are a lot less of what they've been in the past. So big questions there. Notre Dame breaking in new quarterback, CJ Carr. Oregon lost a lot of talent. Alabama, new quarterback, DeBoer's second year, and then LSU. I personally think LSU is the best roster in the country,
yeah.
but it's a ton of transfers. So will they actually mesh? They could be an old miss of last year where they win big games but lose to kind of terrible teams. So
Yeah.
I think it's so compacted at the top, which is going to make the season so fun.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait. Year two of the college football playoff, like 12-team playoff, is going to be really fun. But you mentioned Georgia and Alabama about the O line. That was one question going into the season. Is Georgia like ready? Because we saw Gunnar Stockton last year come in for Beck after that injury that Beck suffered in the fourth quarter of the SEC championship game, and Stockton didn't look good at all. I mean, in my opinion, he threw a pick right to a Texas guy and he got laid out and basically had a concussion and Beck had to come in, but Beck had to hand the ball off to a running back instead of throwing it because his elbow was basically blown out. But Georgia, that's the question is like, are they going to be the Georgia we know that goes undefeated this year? Or is it going to be a different Georgia where they lose about 3 to 4 games?
Yeah, I mean, I get rated by Georgia fans in the last 2 years because I've been
Yeah.
low on them for the most part, but I feel like I've been pretty right on them. But I think like Georgia fans are hating on Carson Beck. I think Carson Beck to Gunnar Stockton is a huge downgrade. I think Carson Beck was amazing last year. He just couldn't pass to his receivers because they couldn't get separation. And I mean, they had the highest drop percentage by like a long shot last year. So I think between the wide receiver weapons, Gunnar Stockton, and maybe some questions on the O line. I think that offense could be pretty stagnant, but I always come back and say Kirby Smart's the best coach in college football. I thought their team last year really wasn't that great, but he still coached them to win an SEC championship. Like they're still going to be a contender.
Yeah. Because obviously it's Georgia, it's the name. Like, Kirby Smart's been a good coach for the past, 10 years,
Yeah,
I would say, at Georgia.
yeah.
And I think this Georgia team could potentially be, I mean, it just depends. They have an easy part of the schedule to start, but I would say their toughest road game is definitely Auburn and Jordan. That's got to be the toughest road game for them.
Yeah, because they get a
But
lot of their hard opponents at home this year.
yeah, a lot of their hard opponents at home because Alabama's week 4 this year.
Yeah,
Um,
Alabama. What is it? Alabama comes, Ole Miss comes, and Texas
yeah,
comes.
yeah, and then they play the Florida game in
At
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. Yeah,
But also that other SEC team you mentioned, Alabama. I mean, Alabama last year was honestly, I don't know if you could call it unexpected or you could say it was bound to happen that Alabama would lose 4 games last year. And I mean, it looked ugly, honestly. Like Jalen Milroe was not accurate at all. Really, the only highlight was Ryan Williams. But Ryan Williams, if you think about this, Ryan Williams was only good for, in my opinion, he was only good for that one Georgia game when he made that miraculous catch and then after that, really, you never really heard of him. And also, in my opinion, I do think Alabama's defense gave up way too much points last year. And what are your thoughts on the Crimson Tide this year?
yeah. So I think Kalen DeBoer went into, I think to know this, we got to look at a little bit of last year. And
Yeah,
Kalen DeBoer went into a little bit of an impossible situation. So the greatest coach ever retires, you fill in for him. But when you fill in for him, you go into a period of the offseason where players can leave you, but you can't get players.
yeah,
So I think he did whatever he can to salvage the roster instead of going in and being like, this is Alabama football. This is what we're going to do. If you don't like it, get out.
yeah,
Instead, he was kind of like a little lenient on people to uh, really make sure that he kept the roster. And I don't have anybody in camp to tell me that, but like I've heard everyone talk about this and probably people who have people in camp there, and it's just kind of logical sense.
Yeah.
So I think he went into a kind of impossible situation. I'm also on record of saying, like, that first half in the Georgia game, I think that was the best college football team we saw all year long, but
Yeah.
they just couldn't do that consistently at all. And in, like, at all. But I thought that first half when Jalen Miller was hitting on all cylinders, the wide receivers were looking good, that defense was locking up. I was like, holy, this team, like after that first half, I think I made a video and I said Alabama's going to win the national championship because it
Yeah.
was so good. But then second half came along and it was the complete opposite. So last year's very hit or miss. I think a lot of that has to do with Jalen Milroe. You get Ty Simpson in this year, quarterback, who maybe won't have the highs of Jalen Milroe, but I don't think will have the lows. And maybe a steady quarterback will be very good for them.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm not super high on their running back room, and they just had Jam Miller go down. So they have some like sophomores who have to come in, some young guys who at most have had like 150 yards, I think, in a season or 200 yards in a season. So a lot of unproven talent there. It's obviously Alabama. They recruit 5 stars. I don't know what stars those guys are. They're either 4 5 stars probably.
Yeah.
So the running back room is a big question for me, and quarterback is. I think the rest of the team is very solid. I think they have one of the best offensive lines in the country. I think their wide receiver room is super underrated, and that's not even like Ryan Williams. Like I think Jeremy Bernard, the Washington transfer from 2 years ago, who followed DeBoer over, I
Yeah.
think he might be the best wide receiver in the group. I think he is insane. We'll see if he amounts to anything this year. Last year he kind of went under the rug, so we'll see. And then I think the defense.
Defense
I
is
think
solid in
people.
my opinion.
I think people might be overhyping it because some people think it's going to be the best defense in the country, but
Yeah.
they did return a ton of guys. That secondary is super deep. I think they're pretty stout up front. So I think they should be a top 10, 15 unit at the very least, which will be good enough to compete with any team in the country.
Yeah. I honestly, I do agree with you there, and I would say the quarterback room's definitely something that I think is looming. It's going to loom over the offseason and obviously into that first game, Florida State game, because they're playing in Doak, and that's going to be a tough environment to play in for Alabama for that first game. But I'll be very interested to see what Ty Simpson and that Alabama offense can do in that first game. But moving on from the top nine that we covered, I want to talk to you about 11 through 15. Your thoughts there, because you got Arizona State at 11, Illinois at 12, South Carolina at 13, Michigan's at 14, and Florida's at 15.
So I think I made this take in one of my videos. I said at least one team from Illinois, South Carolina, Michigan, one of those teams will finish the year unranked.
Yeah.
I don't think Illinois is that great. They did bring back a lot of guys. Their defense should be pretty stout for the Big Ten. Their wide receiver room, they lost 2 guys. I forget the one guy, but the Pat Bryant, he went to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
He was insane, and I thought he bailed out Luke Altmaier so much. And
Yeah.
if you go back and look, Luke Altmaier is a pretty good proponent of kind of falling short in the big games, but really padding his stats in the bad games. So it made him look a lot better than what he actually was.
Yeah.
So I'm not that high. Illinois also lost one of the running backs to Georgia. I'm just not very high on them. Same with South Carolina. They lost so much talent to the NFL, especially on that defensive front and the defensive back end. And I just don't think they can replace it that well. I think the defense is going to be more or less Dylan Stewart, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, South Carolina could easily have the best player on defense and best player on offense in the SEC, but that's about it. I mean, their wide receiver room, I mean, their gem kid is Nick Harbor, who might be a better track athlete than a football athlete.
Yeah.
So I'm not super high on that. They got Razul Faison in the transfer portal for running back, the Utah State guy. He's super good, but his waiver hasn't been signed yet, so he can't play as of today, I believe. So I'm not very high on South Carolina in general. Now, if Lenore Sellers can wield them victories, sure, maybe they can be great.
Yeah.
But I just kind of doubt that. And then Michigan, I'm just not high on starting true freshman quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It's just I mean, obviously they might have to in this situation. Actually, they are going to. But like when Nebraska started Biola last year, I was kind of like, ugh. I was happy DJ Lagway sat for half the year and then got in and played. But even when he got into play, like he was streaky. There was times he looked really good. He flashed the all-star potential. But then, I mean, if you look at overall, he was 59% completion percentage. That's pretty average for a quarterback. So I'm not very high on those 3 teams. So I think one of those teams will like fall out of the rankings for sure.
Yeah.
But like 10, 11, 15. I think they're fine. I have Florida as a top 10 team, I think, or top at least 12 team.
I'd say
I
they
think
definitely finish in the top 12. I have them making the college football playoff, in my opinion.
they're really good. Their
Yeah,
schedule is just brutal.
yeah, it's terrible. Like, they literally have, I believe, Texas, Georgia, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, and maybe Oklahoma, I
Yeah,
think, is on their
them and
schedule.
Oklahoma I have in the same boat. I think they're both like top 10-ish teams,
Yeah,
but they're both just brutal schedules. So we'll see how that pans out. I honestly think one of them might make the playoffs just because I think both those teams are talented. I
yeah.
think one team will probably get hot and ride the wave, and one team will probably wheels will fall off and probably do pretty bad. So I don't know. Arizona State, I think they're good. I do think people are underestimating the loss of Cam Scadaboo, not only on the field, but in the locker room. I think he was the heart and soul of that team. So someone like Sam Levitt or Jordan Tyson needs to step up. And I mean, they got like Kanye Udo, the running back
Yeah.
from Army in the transfer portal. He's good. He's an American running back. Like
Hmm.
I mean, the Big 12 isn't the SEC, but I just don't think he's going to come in and just be Cam Scadaboo. So we'll see how that works. But yeah,
Yeah, honestly, I like you said about Illinois and South Carolina. Illinois does have a favorable schedule, I would say. I mean, their toughest games, I would consider Duke a tough game because Duke has had a really good defense the past 2 or 3 years. Manny Diaz is a great defensive guru over there at Duke. And also, I mean, Duke just got that new Tulane transfer as well. Um, and then I would also say Ohio State's a big game on their schedule that really stands out too because that's in Illinois and they have to win it. And then they also go to Bloomington to play Indiana week 5, I believe. And that Kirk Cignetti is definitely going to be ready for that game, considering Indiana will probably be ranked most likely in the top 10 or top 15 by the time that game happens because they played 3 cupcakes to start the season.
yeah.
And then South Carolina, I disagree a little bit because I do admit like the defense doesn't look that strong. I do think Dylan Stewart's going to be the one and only to rely on, honestly, this year. Is I haven't really heard much about their secondary, haven't heard much about the linebacker room, and obviously the D line's just Stewart. And then the offense, though, I just see like Lenora Sellers and Nick Harbor really having that connection, and I feel like that's the only guy Sellers is going to be able to throw it to, but I feel like Sellers will be able to find ways to win because they have a lot of favorable games on their schedule this year, like at home. Like they play Bama, probably going to be a night game in William Bryce Stadium, and then they also play Clemson, which is going to be a night game as well. And I don't know who else they play. They play Texas A&M on the road. That's probably their toughest matchup of the season. Um, but really, South Carolina, I feel like will stay in that 13ish to 10ish range for the rest of the year. I think they'll kind of just stay there. But I do see Illinois definitely possibly falling out of the top 25 if things go south for them. But like you said, I mean, Michigan and Florida and Arizona State, I think, will be in the rankings for most of the year. But I do like your takes on Illinois and South Carolina possibly, falling because going back to South Carolina, it's like you don't really know because, South Carolina has those good years. And then the next year it's like 5-7,
Yeah.
3-9, 4-8. Like, I mean, it just happens. It's like the way South Carolina operates. Like, we saw that one year they went like 8-4, I believe, in like 2019, and in 2020 they came back and went like it was COVID season, so I think they went 2-6. Like, I
I
mean,
feel
they were.
like I feel
What were
like
you
every
gonna say?
time they're hyped up, they just underperform, and then every time they're not hyped up, they overperform. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
but we'll see. Like you said, I mean, the top 25 to me, the rest of it looks pretty good, except I will say one team, um, Tennessee. I don't really know why the AP poll put Tennessee in there. Maybe it's just because last year, but a lot of people have said to me they're like Joey Aguilar's like going to be a good quarterback for Tennessee. He's going to be decent enough to, you know, win 8 games. But you got to think of where he played. Like he played at Appalachian State.
I was gonna say, for the SEC sake, I hope he doesn't do good because then that means that a App State Sun Belt quarterback can come in and
Yeah, and just
hold their own
demolish
in
like
the
other
SEC.
teams. Yeah,
So I mean that may be pushing the narrative too far, but people are gonna do that if that happens. So
yeah,
I personally had Tennessee ranked at the start of the offseason, and then they slowly went down, and they're out of my rankings right now.
yeah. I never had them. I think after the Nico transfer, I think I took them out of my rankings because I was like, well, I was like, this basically ruins their team. Like, I mean, they're not going to be good anymore after Nico leaving because I feel like that was the main. If you look at their offense, they really last year they relied on Dylan Sampson a lot. They
Yeah.
relied on him a lot to win them games. Um, and then, I mean, I don't see a problem in the defense with Tennessee. Tennessee to me, their defense is
No,
pretty
I mean they
solid.
obviously lost some star guys, especially up
Yeah,
front, but they recruit at a high level, and some of the like film I've been watching, I feel like they've replaced the talent just as well.
yeah,
So they should be fine. But
but
yeah,
yeah. The
I think the top 25 looks pretty decent for the most part.
mhm.
I think it gets really like a crapshoot after, let's say, 21, 22, as in like you could throw in a lot of teams there and I'd be okay with it. Like I'm a big fan of Baylor this year.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of USC this year. I'm a big fan of Georgia Tech. I think like Utah, Louisville, Missouri, maybe like a Nebraska. If you're high on Auburn this year, I think those are all teams that could be in there, and I wouldn't give too much pushback.
yeah, I do agree with you there. Like, I'd say 21 through, like you said, 23 or maybe even to 25 would kind of be like that spot where maybe it's a little bit, maybe the AP writers kind of gave a little bit of favoritism from last year.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's obviously just we got to see what happens week one with some of these teams
yeah.
because, and
Well,
I
and like
mean,
I
go
think
ahead.
like they threw Iowa State in there for the
Yeah,
most part. I mean, I know it's an average of rankings, but I think a lot of people threw Iowa State in there just because week zero ranked matchup looks a lot better. You know?
yeah, because you want that hype around it because last year the AP writers made a mistake not putting Georgia Tech in the top 25 when they played Florida State because I think a lot of people knew that that could have possibly happened
Yeah.
week 1 because last year I was saying the whole week I was like, well, I think Georgia Tech's going to upset Florida State
Yeah.
because Georgia Tech had talent.
I was a little shocked. I never had Georgia Tech winning, but I always had them covering. So
Yeah.
I thought it'd be a close game, but I didn't know they would win.
But yeah, that's gonna do it for the top 25 overview really quick. And now we're gonna get into the Heisman race. And I mean, right now you have Arch Manning is the favorite. And honestly, Chandler, how do you feel about that?
Um, it's fine. The Heisman for me, like what I've noticed now, it is a narrative race more
Yeah,
than a whatever race. So who's gonna win it is either gonna be a star-studded, like once in a lifetime, aka generational talent at a non-QB position, or it's
yeah.
gonna be a QB on like one of the top three best teams. So like if Texas is gonna be a top team and Arch is gonna carry them through the way, and it's Arch Manning, he'll probably be in the race.
Yeah.
I feel the same way with like Klubnik and Nussmeyer. Like if those two teams are really good this year, they'll probably be at the helm. They'll
Hmm.
probably get up there or win it. And then like Jeremiah Smith, he's the freak athlete here. Or like I throw a very outside chance to Jeremiah Love, the running back from Notre Dame. Those guys, if their season is good enough statistical wise, I think they can be up there. But I think it's down to mostly those guys, and then there's a couple very outside shots like maybe a Dante Moore, Ty Simpson, Miami, but like someone like Drew Aller, I just don't think he's ever going to win it because
Yeah.
if Penn State does good, they're gonna put the like all the praise onto either the two running backs, Singleton and Allen, or the defense. They're not going
Yeah,
to
the
give
defense
Aller.
last year I think is what helped them get to
Yeah,
that.
so I don't think he'll ever win it. He might get invited, but I don't think he'll ever win it because of that. Julian Saying is another one. I don't think he'll win it this year. I just don't think
Yeah.
he's going to be good enough. Same thing with Georgia with Stockton. I don't think he'll be good enough too. I just don't think they'll put the praise onto him. Notre Dame, CJ Carr, same thing.
What do you think
Um,
about possibly like if Auburn had a good season and Cam Coleman possibly could win it? Or do you think he would get invited?
I think he could get invited. I mean, he would need like
He would need a lot. Like
he would need
that
to
would
clear
take a
every he
lot.
would need to clear every wide receiver by probably 300 to 400.
Yeah.
Like it just he is someone that football knowers know, but he's not someone the public knows.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Jeremiah Smith. Everyone knows Ryan Williams. And I think Cam Coleman, I didn't rank him better, but I think he's probably better than Ryan Williams.
Hmm.
Uh no one knows Cam Coleman in the grand landscape of college football compared to
Yeah.
those two other guys. So you're just it's a narrative race. That's kind of
Yeah.
what I call it. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. I don't know. Betting on it is like throwing darts blindfolded
Yeah. I
because
mean,
you
I'm looking
just
at the
never
odds right
know.
now, according to FanDuel, and it says like Arch Manning plus 600, Cade Klubnik is 900, and then Nussmeier's 900,
Like
and
I think
then
your best bet would be to bet on Arch, Klubnik, Nuss, and Jeremiah Smith, like
hmm
four-way bet, because plus 600 odds. If you bet like, let's say you bet $10 on each of them, you would
yeah,
still win money if one of them won. I think that's your best bet to make money betting on this. But
yeah,
at the same time, it's like, well, what if none of them wins?
hmm
Then you're out a lot of money. And I think if you do long shots in Heisman, I
DJ
think the
Lagway I think
race,
could be a long shot, honestly.
yeah, but I think Lagway and Mateer would easily be up there.
Yeah,
But again, those teams have to go 11-1 at the very least, 10-2 probably to
to
win
get
it.
like it, yeah, to get up there.
So that's the hard thing. Like Florida could go 8-4, 9-3, even make the playoffs, and he still don't win it because his team just isn't good enough.
Yeah,
So I don't know. It's hard. I think you bet on the pretty heavy favorites or the people you think that can win it. I think if you do too many long shots, you're just donating money at that point because it's just not going to happen.
yeah, I think I tend to agree with you there because I think this year's Heisman race is going to be really close, just with
Mm-hmm.
quarterbacks in general. I think
I mean, if you
that
look at last year, you had a generational running back.
yeah,
You had a generational talent, somebody that whatever you like him, hate him, he did something that most college players don't ever do,
yeah,
play
play
both
both sides of the
ways.
ball.
And then after that, it was Dylan Gabriel, and who else was it?
I believe maybe Shadur Sanders I thought was there.
Was he okay? But basically, Dylan Gabriel was probably the winner after those two, and
Hmm.
he was on the only undefeated team, quarterback.
Yeah.
So that's what I just think the race comes down to now. But predicting that could be a bit tough or risky.
Yeah, I do think this year, I mean, a lot of people are saying this year reminds them of, the Charles Woodson, Peyton Manning year. Like it could be like that close.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, in my opinion, like you said, those top three quarterbacks that are already on there is Manning, Klubnik, and Nussmeier. I think whichever one has like the, I would say, goes undefeated.
Oh yeah, if one of those teams go undefeated and the rest don't, that quarterback is probably winning it.
Yeah, I think Klubnik, I mean, Clemson has an easier schedule than
Mhm.
LSU and Texas for sure. Like, I
The
mean,
only thing I'll
Clemson,
say is Clemson does play two SEC teams, so
yes, they
if
play
they can go
LSU.
undefeated, they kind of proven their worth.
They play LSU that week one game, and that's
South Carolina,
early. Yeah, that's early Heisman
yeah,
right there, like early Heisman
oh yeah,
game for Klubnik and Nussmeier.
yeah.
But honestly, yeah, just kind of wanted to get into that real quick because, obviously starting the season, we have the favorites already out. But I mean, I'm looking now, you got like, they have all the odds out for like this FanDuel Sports even has TJ Finley on here for Heisman,
Yeah,
which,
and it's like they do I I do some gambling
yeah.
advice. I'm not huge into it because I
Hmm.
don't love it myself, but stuff like that, I tell people all the time. You're like they put that up there because they know if someone bets on that, that is legit a donation, like
Yeah.
legit a donation to FanDuel. So stuff like that, it's like don't bet on that. Even like some somewhat long shots, don't bet on it unless you're putting in like literally money you want to donate. So
Yeah. But anybody that's listening, if you want to bet on the Heisman odds, you can go to FanDuel Sports and bet your favorite player or whoever you think is going to win the Heisman. But we'll see at the end of the year and see who's going to be in New York.
and
But
FanDuel does some cool things.
they do.
Like they have like win totals, but they
Yeah.
have like you'll win X amount of games. So you can bet like you don't get good odds on it, but you can bet Texas A&M to win 6 games, or say you're feeling risky, you can bet Texas A&M to go undefeated.
Yeah.
So there's some cool things that they do over there.
Yeah, I mean FanDuel I've used FanDuel a few times and they're
Yeah.
pretty reliable in my opinion. So I would say that definitely go check them out if you want to start, a little bit of sports gambling, not too much. But gonna move on from the Heisman race. We are now going to get into our week 0 and week 1 like biggest matchups in my opinion, I would say. Um and obviously, the one you talked about earlier with Iowa State when we were talking about the rankings in Dublin, Ireland. It's Kansas State, number 17 Kansas State versus number 22 Iowa State. And I mean, this could be a good matchup at 11 a.m. this upcoming Saturday. And it's a Big 12 game. We get a Big 12 game first college football game of the year.
Yeah, I think this will be a fun game. I will be fresh off a half marathon right when I start watching this, so I'll be somewhat cooked. But I think this is a game that shows, do the trenches win or do playmakers on the outside win? Because I personally am lower on a lot of Kansas State's playmakers,
Yeah.
but I think there's no denying that their offense and defensive line, you can even include linebackers in this, are just so much stouter than Iowa State. I do think Iowa State has some good linebackers, but Iowa State's linebackers, cornerbacks, and then wide receivers and quarterback, I think, are really, really good. So, personally, my prediction in this game, I have Iowa State covering and winning. I think they win if I had to do a score like 27-23. I think it'll be a close game. I'm just not a fan of Avery Johnson as a quarterback. I
Yeah.
think he's a glorified running back. I know Kansas State fans have been on my neck about he got the school record in passing touchdowns last year.
Hmm.
It wasn't very much. It was like 20.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of him. And also, like, people just see a lot of their players a lot better than I do. Like Jace Brown, the wide receiver, he's fine. People think he's like a top 20 wide receiver in the country.
Hmm.
Dylan Stewart, I rated him like 19th or 20th in the country. People have him as like a top 5 back in the country.
Yeah.
So I'm just not as high on their players as um, other people. But I will say this is a very good game. It should be a close game. I could see either team winning. I just personally like Iowa State here. I think Rocco Beck outduels Avery Johnson.
Yeah, I honestly tend to agree with you here because I think Iowa State, they're going to be ready um for this game. Big 12 matchup early in the season, like I said, and it's ranked matchup. This could be big for them going into the next week when they play their week 1 game. They could possibly well, week 2 game actually, because the week 1 rankings come out after that Labor Day game on the 1st of September. But yeah, I mean, Iowa State, I feel like this game will be a high scoring game because Big 12 to me has never had any defense. I mean, I've been watching college football for a long time and I've never known the Big 12 to have a good defense. Like I've never seen a team hold anybody that's in their own conference below like 30 points. Like it's usually a shootout. And if I had to say, I do think Iowa State will cover this, but I'm gonna say the over under is 49 and a half. I feel like it's gonna be a little more than that. I'm gonna say it's gonna go over, and I'll say the score's like mm, I'm gonna say 35-21. Iowa State wins by 2 touchdowns.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting. That's a lot. That's okay. I like
yeah.
that. I like that.
But yeah, I mean that's really the only game for week 0 because I don't want to talk about any other games because those are just nobodies versus nobodies. But obviously, in my opinion, the best time of the year is the week after because you get college football on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and you don't really have any interesting matchups on Thursday. I would say the only one maybe be number 25 Boise State or at South Florida at 4:30 on Thursday, but that's like I don't know. South Florida
Yeah, I
was
mean, I think those are both top 10 group of 5 teams,
yeah.
but I'd be lying to you if I told you I know so much about South Florida. I just don't have time to sit and evaluate group of 5 talent until the
Yeah.
season comes around. I know they're pretty good up front, like in the trenches, and they have, oh, I'm forgetting his name, but they have a quarterback that's been around forever, very mobile
Mhm.
guy. But I think Boise wins this game pretty easy. I've been looking at Boise's roster, and I really do think they're a fringe top 25 team. That's how good I think they are.
Yeah. I would say without Genty though, it's definitely going to change a lot of things, but I do think Boise
Yeah.
State's still going to be the Boise State that we know that will be like at least decent. Because
Yeah.
they do play Notre Dame week 4 this year, so that
Mhm.
would be interesting to see. And I did skip over like one game Thursday. I didn't even see it down on the slate, but it's Nebraska at well, not at Cincinnati. They're playing at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. And I don't know how good Cincinnati's going to be this year. I know last year I believe they went 5-7, and Nebraska obviously last year finally won a bowl game, finally made a bowl game for the first time in a long time. But I do consider that to be a big game because two Power 5 or Power 4 schools playing against each other, and it's a primetime game on ESPN on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm technically from Nebraska,
Yeah.
so I kind of have ties to Nebraska, but at the same time, I don't like cheer for them as much anymore.
Hmm.
But I mean, I think Nebraska should win this game pretty handily. I do like Cincinnati's team decently. I think they'll be pretty middle tier in the Big 12. I don't think they'll be crap. Their quarterback Brendan Sorsby, I'm really high on, but
Yeah.
I think Nebraska wins this game. It'll be fun to watch Nebraska about Dylan Raiola year 2, Matt Rule year 3. There's supposed to be magic in that. Also, they got Dane Key, a wide receiver from Kentucky, supposed to be a superstar, and
Yeah.
then they lost their DC White, and it'll be cool to see if they replaced him well. They hired from within, so we'll see.
Yeah. And they're favored by 6.5 in that game. And if anybody listening right now or watching wants to go check that out, check it out on ESPN at 8 o'clock on Thursday, August 28th. So that will be a primetime game at Arrowhead Stadium. And then obviously, I think this is Friday night, August 29th, I think is definitely the most hype before Saturday because you have two incredible matchups. You have Auburn and Baylor at 7 o'clock on Fox, and you have Georgia Tech and Colorado at 7 p.m. on ESPN. And, you know, you get Hugh Freeze year 3 this year, and there's been a ton of speculation like off season, like, does he care more about his golf game? Is Jackson Arnold going to be good? Is Auburn just going to be the same old Auburn they've been since Gus Malzahn got fired? And then on the other side, in Baylor, you have Sawyer Robinson coming back for his senior year, and then supposedly a great offense in Baylor. Not really good on defense. The secondary I heard is one of the worst secondaries in the Big 12. And then also the other news that came out a few weeks ago, Pendergrass out for the season with a injury. So that definitely favors more of Auburn's side. But Chandler, what do you think about this Auburn and Baylor matchup week 1 of the college football season?
So I'm kind of riding with my guns on this one. I picked Baylor to win the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to win the Big 12, I think they have to start hot. So I think at home they'll win this game. I will say this: recruiting talent is better at Auburn than at Baylor. That is
Yeah.
a period blank statement. Whatever you want to say about whatever. I do think Baylor's offense is very elite, even in the sense of all of college football. I think they could have a top 10 offense in the country.
Yeah.
The defense is worrisome. I think they have a lot of units in there that are not so hot. But Dave Aranda said, I think that he's going to like take a step into the defense and call plays for the defense and really try to put his foot in the defense. And he's a defensive minded coach. He
Yeah.
was a DC at Baylor before this. So I hope personally that ups the defense a bit. It is a big hope. Now on Auburn's side, they have a lot of fun pieces. A great wide receiver room. Might have one of the best wide receiver rooms in the country, if not a top 5 unit probably. Defense littered with 4 and 5 stars all across the board from the back end to the front end. O line, this is the best O line Jackson Arnold's ever had ever.
Yeah.
My only big issue is, is my big issue with Auburn is Jackson Arnold. So when he went to Oklahoma, I evaluated him out of high school and I loved him. I put him as my like number 1 quarterback in my head coming out of high school. I thought he was the best thing ever. When he was going to start for Oklahoma, I got inside information from someone at the camp at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Don't know the guy. He just decided one day I think he was in my live one day and decided to hit me up afterwards. And he's like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I see Jackson Arnold every day at practice. He's not good. Like, he is not doing good at all. And I was like, whatever. Like, thanks for the information. I kind of threw it out the window because I was like, whatever. But the way he got sat so quick for Michael Hawkins Jr. was like pretty alarming for me because I was like, there's no way you should sit him this early. Like, let him keep playing. Like, he's fine. So that worries me. He jumped ship to Auburn.
Yeah.
Again, could be rumors, but we've heard that the defense has been taking it light on Jackson Arnold, so
Hmm.
he can get his footing and get more confidence up. Also, I don't know if you saw this today. Hugh Freeze was asked if he would play three quarterbacks in the first game if he had to, and he goes yes. So like stuff like that is just making me like so like worried that Auburn is gonna just like the wheels are gonna fall off, which is so sad because they have so much talent on that team.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's like this team is so talented. Like I think on a talent perspective, might be a top 20 team in the country. But with Hugh Freeze at the helm and potential like some players missing and like
Yeah.
how motivated are these players, I just am not as high in Auburn this year as I probably maybe should be. But
Yeah.
here's the thing: if they come out and they punch Auburn in the mouth, it could be a different story for Auburn. So personally, I'm picking Auburn or Baylor to win. Obviously, they cover. I don't think they win by much though, still, because I do think the talent at Baylor or at Auburn is better than Baylor.
Yeah.
So give me a game. Oh, give me like a 24-14 type of game.
Yeah. I do like that take, honestly. I feel like a lot of people, I mean, I have seen the clips and everything on X from, you know, local reporter Christian Clemente um from 247 Sports. We obviously saw the viral clip last week of Hugh Freeze throwing his visor down and getting mad at Jackson Arnold. Um and I will say that three quarterback thing, it's not like he said it, but I think the way he said it, people like misinterpreted it. And I feel like what he's meaning there is if Arnold screws up, he could use Deuce Knight because Deuce Knight's a freshman, or you have Ashton Daniels at the third string who,
He's good. He
yeah,
is
he's
good.
played 20 plus starts at Stanford for 3 years, and that could possibly be an option if Deuce Knight's not ready to go, if Hugh Freeze doesn't feel comfortable with putting a freshman out there in the first game of the season. And I do feel like Jackson Arnold, I love Jackson Arnold. Like you said, out of high school, he was one of the best players, I think. And last year at Oklahoma, I feel like he didn't have a receiving core. He didn't really have an O line. I feel like this year he has all that, and it comes down to he's got to make the right reads, and I feel like it also comes down to coaching too. Like it's got to be Hugh Freeze has got to call the right plays, I think. And if Arnold is not firing on all cylinders, I mean, take him out like immediately and bring in a new quarterback. Like if you have to do that, because if Jackson Arnold's not who you think he is, then you should have said that at least in spring. But I mean, obviously you can't tell because you're not doing full pads and everything. And I do also think you want to get Jackson Arnold some confidence as well. That's why the defense, I think, went light on Arnold in summer practice and fall camp. I think you want to just get him adjusted to the playbook. And then as this game gets closer, this next week is definitely something big to get all the intel, because this next week is, obviously week 0 for some teams. And then Auburn, is going to travel to Baylor, I believe, Thursday on August 28th. So definitely Jackson Arnold this next week is going to have to get prepared for what's coming, because this Baylor, I've seen clips from Baylor Stadium when they were really good, and it gets loud in there. I mean, they're a Big 12 team, but they got some fans. I mean, their fans are rowdy, and I know Auburn fans travel, but this Baylor game is definitely going to be a big one. And obviously, like I said, it's prime time. But I do have Auburn winning. That's only because I'm an Auburn fan, but I have Auburn winning by, I'm only going to say 3. I'm only going to say it's a low scoring game, 20-17. I say the offense looks okay, and I say the defense saves a lot of the offense. Like I believe there'll be some turnovers. Jackson Earl might throw an interception or two, and I believe the defense will save Auburn from losing this game. So I say 20-17. Auburn beats Baylor in Waco, in Waco on Friday night.
I so wish Auburn had a light start of the season, like
Yeah, I do too.
all cupcake games. So I
Yeah.
think that like if Auburn starts slow, I think the wheels could fall off. But if they start
Hmm.
hot, I think they're off to the races.
Yeah. I do agree. I mean, that schedule is definitely favorable because after Baylor, you have Ball State and South Alabama, and then you have honestly the toughest part of the schedule is that fourth through sixth game. You have A&M at A&M, Oklahoma at Oklahoma, and then Georgia at home. I think those are your toughest games, and then I think after that you're smooth sailing.
Yeah. I think I was
But
looking at their schedule the other day, and there's a realistic situation they start 3-3, which would just be
mhm.
like how would the fans react? You know?
I personal level, like just being around Auburn fans, I think that would be the breaking point. Is just like 3-3. I think would make it to where it's just start over again. Like I mean, that would be the worst thing to happen to is
Tough.
like start over again because if you do that, like it's gonna make it to a point to where you don't like a coach doesn't want to come to Auburn anymore. Like he knows what's gonna happen, and that's what it's been for 10 plus years now at least. Like the donors control majority of the coaching and it really sucks. Like I mean it's terrible.
Yeah.
But moving on from the Auburn and Baylor game, now going to the next game, Georgia Tech and Colorado. At Folsom Field in Boulder, Deion Sanders' third year. I mean, and he's losing his son, Shadur Sanders, and Travis Hunter. How does I believe Julian Lewis is the starting quarterback, right?
I don't think they officially announced, but I think Kane Salters is going to get the nod. The
Okay, yeah,
Liberty
Kaden
transfer.
Salter.
But yeah, I'm not very high on this Colorado team. They lost so much talent. Not only the two main guys they lost, but they
Jimmy
lost
Horn.
yeah, Jimmy Horn, LeJonte Wester, the Vanderbilt kid. All three of those wide receivers were like guys that I thought were like NFL players someday. So
Yeah.
they just lost so many guys. I do think like they're building around the team better,
Yeah.
like in the trenches and on the defense. But I think they got the wrong quarterback. Caden Salters had one good year at Liberty, and then the
Mhm.
next year he had an average year. And now you think you're going to go up in competition
Yeah.
and start in the Big 12? I mean, you're playing the CUSA, the worst conference probably in college football.
Mhm.
So, and I love Georgia Tech, man. I think they have a lot of good pieces around there. I know they lost like Singleton to Auburn, but they replaced it with Patterson and Rivers from FIU, who I think are very good wide receivers.
Yeah.
I just like Georgia Tech. They're going to be a gritty team with Haynes King at the helm, and I think they win 35 to 10. I think it's a blowout.
Yeah, I do agree. Honestly, like I feel like Colorado's talent level definitely dropped after losing those star players. And Georgia Tech to me, I mean, this year they could either go like 6-6 or in my opinion, I think they could go as high as 10-2. Like I really think they could be that good.
Oh yeah. Like they have Georgia and Clemson. What I think are losses, but the
Yeah.
rest of their schedule is pretty
Well,
favorable.
Georgia, I mean, Georgia not necessarily after what I saw last year. Like they play Georgia in Mercedes-Benz this year. I don't know why that happened, but they did.
Yeah.
And I mean, that could be a game where we're like, what if Georgia Tech's like you say 10-1 by the Georgia game, and you're like, this is a good game. Like, say Georgia's also the same record. You're like, this game has some college football playoff implications on it. And I mean, it definitely stands out. Georgia Tech, this is like a game. I think this is a must-win game for them to start the season, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I
Like, I
agree.
think they need to win this to prove to everybody that Georgia Tech is like gonna be a football school for a few years. But if I had to say like a record prediction, or not a record prediction, score prediction, I would probably say I'm gonna go I'm gonna go 31 to 10. I'll go 31 to 10 here, yeah. I'd say Georgia Tech blows out Colorado in Boulder. But really, those Friday games, those are the only two that kind of stick out. Everybody else just playing cupcakes. And then I think this is going to be like a really crazy Saturday um, to start the year. I don't think we've had a Saturday like this in a while. You have number one versus number three on Fox. And honestly, Chandler, give me your take on that with Texas going into Ohio Stadium and playing a top ranked Ohio State team.
It's tough, man. It's hard to evaluate these two teams right now. Just a lot of new pieces coming in.
Yeah.
If anyone claims that they know for sure what's going to happen in this game, they're lying. They're just
Hmm.
guessing. Ohio State's replacing so much talent.
Yeah.
Texas is doing the same in the trenches, in the wide receiver room. They both have new quarterbacks. So I'm really, it's so hard to predict this game.
Hmm.
As of right now, I have Texas winning. I might switch up on that. I think Texas just has a little more experience,
Yeah.
and I think Sark will get them ready for this game. Where Ohio State, I know they have tried to say that they're not like this, but they're probably maybe a little hungover from the national championship game.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're doing any like maybe not awards ceremony, but maybe like a recognizing that they won the national championship in this game. I'm not for
Hmm.
sure if they're doing that or not, but either way, I have Texas winning. I think this is a dogfight game. I think you see both offenses look good at times. I think you see both defenses look good at times.
Yeah.
I think you see everybody look bad at times. But I'll have Texas winning like probably like 28 to 24, something along the
Okay.
lines of that.
Yeah, I honestly will say I think I've picked Ohio State for a while now. I think this game like it's gonna be loud. Like I think Texas has not played an environment like this, and I think it's gonna be so loud that like it's gonna be hard to handle. But I do still think it'll be a close game. Like Texas has a pretty good defense, I think, and so does Ohio State. And I feel like this game, Sark will get his players ready, and I feel like Ohio State they'll look sluggish in the first half, but I feel like Ryan Day will go in at halftime, make some adjustments to win that game. And I think it's going to be 20-13, I think will be the final score. And obviously, that revenge Texas wants from last year in the college football playoff when Jack Sawyer picked up that fumble and returned it to win the game for Ohio State. That was big. And definitely Texas is going to be coming in there looking for some revenge for sure. And then I don't know if you're really high on this game, but it's another 11 a.m. game on ABC in Mercedes-Benz, Tennessee, playing Syracuse.
No, I think Tennessee will blow them out. I think the only reason this game could be close if like Joey Aguilar and that offense just start super slow,
Yeah,
and the game at half is like 6-3 or three
yeah,
to zero. Like, but I think if I had to put a score in this game, I mean, I think it'll be closer than what most people maybe might think because I
mhm,
think Tennessee might start off slow, but I think they win like let's go like 21 to like 10, something along the
yeah.
lines of that.
I don't know. Syracuse. I don't like. I haven't studied much about Syracuse. I know Kyle McCord was gone and all that, but I feel like Fran Brown will be able to do something. Like I don't think they'll win, but I think it'll be close enough. And if I had to say, I say like 17-14. Honestly, in my opinion, it's going to be really low scoring. But
Yeah.
I feel like this will be a closer game because Tennessee to me is just a little overrated.
Mm-hmm. I think Fran Brown's going to be a great coach in the future. I think he's
Yeah.
going to do great things, and either Syracuse will become good or he will transfer or whatever, jump ship to another program. But I think he's a future coach to everyone keep their heads out for. But I just don't think Syracuse talent can compete with SEC talent just yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have a lot of ACC, SEC games week 1. I mean, you got like I said, this next game. I think we already sort of talked about this, but we haven't gave the full prediction or anything. But Alabama and Florida State in Doak Campbell Stadium, 2:30 on ABC. Alabama is a 13.5 point favorite, but in my opinion, I think this game could be a lot closer.
Yeah. So here's what I'm going to say. I think Florida State got the wrong quarterback. I do
Yes,
not
yes,
like Thomas Castellanos.
yeah,
I don't think he's very good. He got benched at Colorado or at Boston College. I think he is a merchant of throwing slants and out routes, and that's about it. Anything
hmm
with some distance on it, he can't hit the broadside of a barn. But I will say the talent around Castellanos is a lot better than last year. Last year, I didn't predict them to do this bad, but in a way, I kind of saw it coming because I just kept saying like on like my videos like they went out and recruited backups from like, or they got like backups from like Alabama, Texas, other like SEC power programs. They got backups who used to be like 4 and 5 stars.
Yeah.
And it's like those were actually just recruiting misses, not guys that never saw the field because they just couldn't see the field yet. So this year they actually went out and got like proven talent. Like they got Deuce Robinson from USC.
Hmm.
He's a tight end converted wide receiver. Amazing at USC. He did very good. I know he might not have the greatest of yards, but he's been out there. He's done the thing, and they did the same thing on the defense end too. So I think this Florida State team is pretty good. I do think there is a chance if Castellanos not good at all that Alabama could run them out of the stadium. But
Yeah.
then I also think there's a chance that this could be also a very low scoring game where it's like 14-10 going into like the last couple minutes of the game.
Yeah. I honestly think this game will be upset. I think, like I said, Alabama to me, Ty Simpson, I just don't know if he's ready yet. And going into a big environment like Florida State, I think it could be close enough to where Florida State could pull off something to where they win, and you could see a top 10 upset week one. And I think it'll be close, and I don't think it'll be high scoring at all. If I had to say, it'd be like 21-17. I think Florida State will win, but that's definitely going to piss a lot of Alabama fans off. But I do think that Alabama's good, but I don't know if they're ready for that first game against FSU.
Do you think if they lose that game, they're out of championship contention?
It depends on how Florida State finishes the year. If Florida State finishes the year like 8-4 and they're like maybe ranked somehow, then I think Alabama, like if they're 10-2 and they're only lost like Florida State and Georgia, then that could be like, oh well, Alabama deserves a college football playoff spot. Like that, it could be like that. But if Florida State like loses 5 straight games after that, then Alabama should not be in playoff contention.
Yeah.
But the last game of the slate for week one is LSU versus Clemson in Memorial Stadium in Death Valley. I guess Clemson fans would say that's the real Death Valley. But Chandler, what are your thoughts on this ACC versus SEC matchup early on in the year?
Personally, I don't think it's by much, but I think LSU is the better team talent wise.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I like their transfers. I think they're better. I don't think it's by much. It's my number one and number two teams right now, and I think they're my number one and number two teams talent wise too. But I think being at home and with Clemson's talent all being like here from last year for the most part and the
Yeah.
continuity, I do think Clemson wins this game. I know that's terrible for LSU. I think LSU could lose this game and then run the table after that. But I just think the continuity issue will hurt them the first game out. And I think Clemson wins a close game. I bet this is pretty high scoring though, because both offenses I think are absolutely elite.
Mm-hmm.
So 30, 38, 31, something along the
Yeah.
lines of that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I honestly agree with you there. Uh, I think LSU just it's embarrassing, but they've lost like what 6 straight week one games, I think, to
Yeah.
ranked opponents or something like that. It's a crazy stat. Like they obviously we saw last year they lost, and the year before they lost. They just have lost in the craziest ways, and I think they'll lose again. I mean, there's been a lot of trash talk in the off season by LSU, but I think Clemson, Cade Klubnik's gonna be ready. I think it will be close, but I think Clemson wins this game 45-37.
That would be some insane
Yeah, that would be
offense.
like game of the week one game of the year. Like I mean, that would
Yeah.
be like game of the year already in week one of the season. But I do think Clemson's gonna go in there like be in their own home stadium and win pretty. It will be a pretty good game.
Mhm.
But I did just find this one last game is Notre Dame and Miami. In Miami, like it's at Miami week one. And this is definitely big on Carson Beck and CJ Carr too. I think this is gonna be like one of those games that decides is like whoever's like obviously Notre Dame got some stuff to figure out and Miami does as well. So what is your take on this 6:30 kickoff on
I
Sunday?
mean, I think Notre Dame is somewhat clear the better team,
Okay.
but I just think, I mean, this QB battle just got called today for CJ Carr,
Yeah.
and with that, just worries me. I do think Carson Beck is a great QB, and everything I've heard, he's ready to go. And they got the new defensive coordinator from Minnesota. They're supposed to be upgraded units. I really like their trenches. I think they might even be able to match or even be a hair better than Notre Dame in the trenches, which is crazy to say. So I think Miami wins this game. I think by the end of the year, Notre Dame is going to be the better team, but I think Miami wins this game.
Yeah.
I think it's like a I think it's like a 28-17, something along the lines of that.
Yeah, I think it'll be a low scoring game in my opinion. I think Miami
Yeah.
wins 27-20. I think Beck's going to be more prepared. I think Mario Cristobal will be as well because I feel like Miami is still hurting from last year, like barely missing the college football playoff. They're like, well, we need to come out and prove something week one. And I feel like no better way than to just beat up on Notre Dame. Like, I feel like the defense will be able to find a way to do something. Hopefully, the defense will, because last year the defense was not very good for the
Terrible.
Hurricanes. And definitely something to look out for, I think, in week one of the season.
I agree.
Well, we are going to get into our last segment of the day. We're going to predict the conference championship winners. And, you know, Chandler, I'll let you go first. Who do you think's going to win the Power Four conferences this year?
So right now, I got LSU winning the SEC. I got Baylor winning the Big 12.
Okay.
I got Penn State winning the Big 10. And I got
Okay.
Clemson winning the ACC. Those are my picks right now. Now I'll be honest with you, the SEC it could be a very close race. A lot of teams could win it. The Big 12, obviously anybody could win it, but I think like the Big Six in there are Baylor, Arizona State, Kansas State, Iowa State, Utah, and Texas Tech. The ACC, I think it's Clemson and everybody else. I think that next couple teams is pretty close. And then the Big Ten, I think it's Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State. It's one of those three.
Okay.
Personally,
Yeah, that's not too bad. I feel like that's a pretty good lineup there of the Power Four conferences, like who you think will win. I do feel like obviously you said Penn State in the Big Ten. I feel like that's one that really, I mean, it's not shocking. I feel like Penn State,
it's like, can James Franklin actually do it though? You know,
yeah, I feel like that's not really shocking that a lot of people would pick that for their like early conference winners. And then you said Florida for SEC,
I said LSU,
LSU, yeah,
but I
LSU
will
for
say this: I
SEC.
think LSU is a team that they're either going to be really good this year, or they're going to be like 7-5, 8-4. Like there's like no middle
Hmm.
ground for them.
Yeah, I do tend to agree. Like LSU, it's it's reminding me of the year like Burrow was there, but like a little less talent, but like
Yeah,
still a good like talent level to where they could win the Natty possibly. And then you said Big 12 was
Baylor,
Baylor. Yeah, Baylor I do think could be in contention there.
but I think like Arizona State, Texas Tech, even like a Kansas State could win it.
Yeah, I honestly think I'll tell you in a second who I think, but
Mm.
it's one of those teams you just named. So, but I'll go ahead with mine. I think the SEC. I think Texas will win the SEC. I think there's a lot of like you know just revenge from last year. Like they want to get back and be like, well, year two in the new conference, like we want to show everybody we're dominant and we can win a title in the conference. And sure enough, I mean Texas is going to get back there. I think to Atlanta, and beat up on. I think they'll beat Georgia again. I think it'll be Texas and Georgia again in the SEC championship, and Texas gets revenge. Um, I think Oregon wins the Big Ten. I think Oregon will be the Big Ten winner. I see Dante Moore having a rough start to the season, but I see him adjusting well and finding a way to get some wins, and then they make it to Indianapolis, and I think Oregon's gonna be able to hoist that Big Ten trophy. And then my Big 12, I'm gonna say Texas Tech. Um, that definitely, I wouldn't think it would be a shock to a lot of people that Texas Tech is up there. Texas Tech has one of the that's really good recruiting class, honestly. Um, and I feel like this Texas Tech team is going to be a solid team. for most of the year. And the Big 12 talent level is only about, I would say, maybe 6 teams. Past that, I don't really see anybody else. But I could see Texas Tech maybe easily winning the Big 12. Behind them, maybe Arizona State and Kansas State, but I don't really see anybody else catching them. And this one's going to shock you. I don't think Clemson's going to win the ACC. I think SMU will win the ACC. I think
I actually do
SM,
like SMU. I think they're a pretty good team.
yeah, I think last year was one of the best conference championship endings I've ever seen. And I think SMU's going to be ready this time. Rhett Lashley's a great coach. I mean, outstanding coach. SMU's been great for a few years now. I think they're going to be back again, and they're going to win the ACC. And then, yeah, that's honestly
Rhett
it.
Lashley might be heading to the SEC soon.
He probably will be.
He
I
might be
wouldn't be
taking that
surprised.
Arkansas job.
I hope either him or John Gruden gets the Arkansas job. I don't know. John Gruden keeps saying he's going to possibly come to the SEC, so we'll see. But yeah, that's gonna do it for our episode. That's episode 18 of the Halftime Sports Talk Show. Big thanks to Chandler from Atlas Sports for coming on the show today. We'll obviously see how these preseason rankings and predictions hold up. The games start rolling in this Saturday. But don't forget to subscribe. Leave us a comment down below, and we will catch you guys next week and break down Week 1's biggest moments. Until then, enjoy your college football weekend this upcoming weekend in week 0. And Chandler, anything you want to say to the fans?
No, make sure you guys follow the podcast here. Great stuff going down. So make sure you follow. If you want to check out Atlas, it's on TikTok, Atlas_sports, Instagram, Atlas Sports CFP. But make sure you chuck a like here on the YouTube.